Welcome to Wholistic Hearts, a place to dive deeper into living holistically, a place where my mom shares thoughts on living fully, creating intentionally, and empowering others to come along with her in this journey.
Good morning! I don't know what to say.
I know.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
Remember that?
Guys, today is a great day on Wholistic Hearts. I'm Kristen Chadwick, and I have with me the legend, the caller outer of great things inside of people, the sunshine, the party, the truth speaker.
Huh? Okay. Well, thank you. Yes, I am Laura Dobson, and I am so excited to be here with you.
Yes.
And I was nervous. It was so funny thinking about it and praying about it. I'm like, I'm so nervous. I don't know why. And it's because I haven't been on the mic in so long.
I know.
It's been a year.
It's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
It
has.
For me, for sure. So.
Well, okay.
Thank you.
Most people don't know that you and I were on a show last year, unless they're faithful rebel parenting people that were like, I think Kristen has a new show.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So history of Laura is she's one of my best friends. Mm-hmm. And B, we met long time ago.
I think I was trying to remember, and I'm pretty sure it was 12 or 13 years ago.
Yes.
Because I remember when Riker was born.
Well, we were both in MOPS when our first were born, which they are 14.
Right.
Which was a little after they were born.
Yeah, it was like a couple months after they were born. So about 14 years then. Because I think I started MOPS when Lincoln was about 3 months. Or even 0, but I sat in back and I didn't do anything and didn't talk to anybody.
Yes.
Just kidding, everybody.
I remember starting mid-year, which would make sense because that's when Copeland was born in October.
Oh,
anyway.
And I started mid-year too.
Yeah.
Oh.
So good old MOPS.
MOPS is the best. If you are a young mom out there and you are struggling and want community, check out MOPS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a great segue. We are shifting into a new segment in Wholistic Hearts about pursuing connection because I feel like in the holistic lifestyle, having good friends, having connection is so important. Mm-hmm. So we'll get there in a second, but I was just going to say that we did MOPS for many, many years. Mm-hmm. We were on the ministry team together.
Which was a blast.
It was so much fun. That was so great. And then it became real. It was a very real friendship it's more than just a ministry team. It was me pouring out my heart and just lots of inner healing that I was going through and
vice versa for me too.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and I think for you saying pursuing connection, and I was thinking about that. I think we were both at that season of our life pursuing connection with each other. So it made the friendship even richer because we were willing to be honest and to share those like scary parts that you don't really share with others or you hold back. And I think we already had that little base, which allowed for that extra connection. I don't know, but I know we were both intentional.
Yes, very much.
And with other people too in our little group, but definitely I felt a connection with you and I think you should share like all the connections we have.
It was so bizarre. Yes.
So share some of them.
Okay. Well, we were both married on the exact same day.
Crazy.
Same year. So we share an anniversary.
So that's easy to remember with the best friends. So people out there, we can't blow that one.
That's true. And then she has older brothers, lots of older brothers. I have my 3 older brothers. You have 4 older brothers, right?
Well, I have biologically 3.
Okay.
And then I have a 4th who he just adopted.
Yeah.
Just came to live with us and never left.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then our birthdays are almost the same.
Yep.
You're the 22nd. No,
29th.
29th. I'm the 27th.
Yes. 2 days apart.
Yep.
I knew it was 2 days apart.
Yes.
I didn't know if you were October. Okay.
Yes.
See, so those when you're starting to get to know someone and you hear all
Yes.
these connections, you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you know all these things. You know, we
Right.
just related on that. And then I think,
Well, and your surfing background, your
Yep.
granola background, which was mine, not as hippie-ish as you were, but I loved fish, and you loved fish,
Yeah.
and you loved Grateful Dead.
and we're not talking about fish that you eat, people,
No.
but I do love fish. But
Yes.
anyway,
Yes.
yeah.
So we
all-
loved good music, and
There were so many little connections that just made it a lot easier
yes,
for friendship.
it did. And having the same age children,
Yes.
because Lincoln and Copeland, our oldest, were
The same age.
same age.
And
so
now, like this morning, he was like, why can't I go? She's home. I know she's home. I'm
Yes.
like, dude, she's in quarantine. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know if you want people to know that. I'm like, you
That's
cannot
okay.
come.
yes, you cannot come.
They're two little buddies.
They are
And
so
they-
cute.
And the neat thing about this, I mean, to segue, the blessing of our intentional friendship has allowed our children to connect spiritually.
Yes.
I mean, our kids have gone to spiritual retreats together and wept for the
Yes.
Lord to teach them and reach them together, Lincoln and your daughter.
Right.
You know, so that is just a
Setting-
fruit
yes.
that got like extra fruit. I mean, and I think that's
Yeah.
how it works. If you're committed to that intentionality,
Mm-hmm.
it multiplies.
Absolutely.
Like, who would have thought?
Yeah. Yeah. They're watching how we do it and going for it,
Going for it.
which is great because you and I went to multiple
Events.
Todd White conferences
Yeah.
and, all those things. Oh,
And
yeah.
Lincoln still talks about that Todd White event.
How
Mom,
cool.
you know that guy? Yeah,
With the dreads?
Yeah, he really talked about Jesus. I'm like, okay, son. He sure does. Go, Todd White.
That's right. Shout out to Todd White.
Mm.
Okay, so we started off our friendship in a really great, vulnerable, real spot. Well, it grew,
Yeah.
I should say. And then y'all invited me to be your producer for your new podcast that you were dreaming up of, the Grassroots podcast of Rebel Parenting.
Oh my gosh.
and I was
right?
like, wait, what? What is producer?
Yeah. And I remember you like talking about it and it was like when Ryan talked to you and said what it was, you were like, oh yeah, that's what my dad did.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yes.
And you did a great job and still do a great job. Gosh, I wish we were still together. Anyway, go on. Yeah,
Yeah.
so for many years you helped run Rebel Parenting. If it wasn't for Kristen, Rebel Parenting, if you haven't listened to us, we would not be where we're at today if it wasn't for you. Ryan and I would still be sitting there dreaming. But you were the impetus that came in and we trusted you and we knew you and we already had that friendship. And then it just even built, I think it just went deeper.
Yes.
Yeah, and having to work with each other and having hard conversations. And I think that's the part that people shy away from the intimacy is
Yeah.
having those difficult conversations.
Yep.
And so when you're choosing to be intentional, be willing to have them. I
Yeah.
mean, we've had some difficult ones. You
Yes.
know? I've blown it big time, big blunders, and vice
Same,
versa.
yeah.
Ryan too. And so, and it's just working it out together for the long haul,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep. Absolutely.
And the other, sorry, I'm
Yeah,
taking-
go, girl.
And the other thing about that season of Rebel Parenting, but even prior to that, is I felt like our families were more connected.
Yes.
Like when we were in need, when Ryan and I were in need, we could go to the Chadwicks and they would take us when we went and played baseball. Remember that day?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just what we needed at the time. And our family was broken and we were hurting at that time. I don't know what it was. It could have been the cancer or it could have been something.
Yeah. Yeah.
The list goes on, right? But that's the other blessing of connection.
Yes.
When you're intentional is like we have family units that are connected,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
I mean, gosh, who gets to have that?
I know.
Like, I feel like if it hits the fan, I know who to call.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of people don't have that.
Same. Yeah. 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 So what do you think? So since we're talking about pursuing connection and now that they know our background,
Yeah.
what do you think has been one of the most helpful ways for us to stay connected in these 12, 13 years?
That's a great question. I mean, overall, I just adore you, so that makes it easy. And I think you're cool, so that makes it easy too. Sorry, besides all that. I think just making sure with like, there's not a month going to go by or a week going to go by that I'm not going to shoot a text.
Yep.
Or
You're so
ask
good
for
at
a
that.
hike or how you doing, you know? So I think for me, that's where my commitment has lied with you is just like, no, I'm just going to check in all the time.
Yeah.
And I think with intentionality,
Yes.
there is a part that you have to do that.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you just not have to, you get to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not laborious for me or anything. It's just,
Yeah.
I want to be in this person's life.
Yep.
So whether they like it or not, no, just kidding. It's not.
No, it's good for me.
I don't want people to hear that, but you have to make sacrifices and you
Yes.
have to be intentional about it, or it just. I mean, how many of us have relationships that they started okay and then the middle? It's always for me. I'm a 7, so the middle
On Enneagram.
on Enneagram people. Sorry, the middle's always the hardest. It's
Yeah.
like I can start out really fast in a relationship and get really connected really quickly, but it's the middle that has been more difficult for me. And I think as I've grown older, you know, I'm approaching 50, I wanted roots.
Yeah.
And I wanted long-term friendships. And so I think I chose with you just to stay connected.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to do if you pick someone. And not to say that that's going to last forever either,
Right.
people, but luckily God has ordained this and blessed it and kept it sacred,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's all him.
It's totally him.
Think of all the moments. I mean, I think of the peacocks. I think everything, just all the stories and you doing those encounters and speaking truth and life into my life, vice versa. And I think in that intentionality, that had to happen.
Yes.
We had to grow. If
Yes.
I wasn't going to grow and you weren't going to grow, I don't think we would have stayed as connected.
Yep.
But we both love the Lord and we're both hungry for
Hungry. Yep.
that. So it makes it easier, I guess.
Yes. Well, because Jesus is that
Is the
anchoring.
middle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I always appreciate you reaching out because I'm not the person that reaches
Yeah.
out naturally. That's
Yeah.
just, I think it's more because I'm an introvert. I could be a 4 on the Enneagram. But
Maybe.
Who knows?
Who
Who
knows?
knows? I could be a 5.
She could be them all.
I could be
She's
all
a
of them.
mixture.
But I do go inward, and I have seen that pattern in my friendships where it'll be, you know, a week or 2 goes by and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard from any of my friends. Oh yeah, I can reach out to my
Right.
friends. It's just as much my responsibility. And I think there is a natural rhythm and a natural flow of friendships too. Like there's grace in that.
Yeah.
And
Lots of grace.
there's lots of room to grow and mature and just calling myself out of like, I am just as much invested in our friendship and with other friends, but I may not be as quick to text or
Yep.
call and check in. So I love having friends that are uber communicative.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
Sherry just said that about me. She's like, you communicate so clearly. I'm
Yes.
like, I do? It doesn't feel like I
Yes.
do in my brain. She's
so
like,
Sherry is
Yeah,
who's been on the show, Sherry Snyder. She
Oh.
is one of Laura's good friends too, and becoming one of my good friends too.
oh,
So
she's amazing.
yes. Yeah. So yes, you are a good communicator. And I think that's a big piece in friendship, especially now, because as you get older, as you're doing life with your own family
Yeah.
and time goes by and you have not been communicative with friends
Right.
or like you need that person and you need other people to reach out to you too of like, what is going on in your life?
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Where you at?
And man, that's so important to have people around you that can call out like, hey, what's going on?
And that's where the growth, I think, occurs, you know? It's calling people out too. And I
Yes.
think with you, I know, you know when I'm not in a good space. You can just hear it in my voice. And that's the beauty of friendship.
Yes.
You know, like, okay, I'll be praying for you. Or, you know, I'll let God. And I think like what you said earlier, just making sure God's in the center of your friendships.
Yes.
Right? Like you said it to me just the other day. I was like, I don't know, I blurted something, blah, 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 blah. I came to you crying about something and you're like, I'm just going to wait to see what God has for you or something. You said it like you were just so patient and waiting and not going to jump in and try to fix it or jump in and try to make me feel better or anything. And it was awesome because I was able to like process it myself or repent for what my attitude and move on. But I love that about you. Like you'll just be patient and be like, no, I just let my friends, they have to struggle too. I feel like you've been in all of my life, you've been the one and another person, but especially you've been a witness to my pain and a witness to my suffering. And you haven't shied away from it. You haven't run away. You haven't accused me. You've lent me so much grace in my own suffering. And so I think as a friend in that intentionality is like having someone witness to your life story. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Like it just brings
It's
me
beautiful.
chills. Yeah. It's like I'm not alone.
No.
I was never alone.
No.
Even though sometimes I feel alone.
Right.
But and you sharing that, like that's the gospel.
Yes.
You just witnessed to me, Jesus. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And again and again and again and again.
And I think that's practice, man. Because I think, you know, as I'm continuing to grow in that good boundaries or codependence, because that was how I was that codependence of I'm going to take on whatever you're going through. And that's not a healthy place to be.
No, I remember those years.
I know.
Well, I have my own. I mean, I'm still unhealthy in other areas.
Right. It goes vice versa.
But it's funny. We can watch each other and be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And you've grown so much in that.
Well, because I feel like in my own journey, in my own suffering, my eyes were open to how codependent I was. And that's where my weakness really was in my own struggle. And so to really, you know, something that you have said over and over in the years is you stay in your own lane. Are you in your own lane? How's your lane? How's your marriage? But really, how's your lane going?
Yeah.
Like, where are you taking care of you? And that was a huge shift for me of realizing like, oh, I can actually, my coach would say, when she was teaching me about codependence and there were in our marriage, she was like, okay, I want you to pretend you have a bubble, but it's a permeable bubble. Yeah. Like people can walk through, come out.
Yeah.
But that is your bubble. And in my perspective, it's okay. That's my Holy Spirit bubble. Like this is a place of sacred space between me and him. And yet I can let people come in and out. I can let my marriage infiltrate, you know, the unhealthy parts or the healthy parts in and out, but learning to know that like, this is my space and I can, you know, like, okay, it's not mine. Like you can bounce off of it or my kids, whatever, or my own, unhealthy
thoughts or
come in and being like, no, this is my space with Holy Spirit. So
I've always thought of it like a screen. So like, but I've never, the permeancy, I love like letting people come in and out, but I put up a screen up in front of me and it's like for feedback, especially if I'm in a new season or something. And I just let the feedback hit the screen and then I like take and pick and choose which feedback I want. Yeah. Because just because someone says something about you or does something or, you know, it doesn't mean that it's actually has to be a capital T truth about yourself. Right. Right. And so I love that. The bubble is similar to that. Like, wait, no. Yeah. And getting clear about your own identity. I think you have watched me find still find my identity in Christ. Yes. Oh my gosh. That's been like the biggest thing the last 15 years.
Yes. That's a big one. I know.
The beauty of it.
Yeah. Oh. Man, yeah. Learning how to pray for your friends and who they are in the kingdom is powerful. Yes. Because it helps you to understand why or your perspective of them. Like you can step back and be like, okay, like I see what's going on. I see, I see the bigger picture. and that in itself can let you not take on
the other person's junk.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the part of being, I think, that intentional is I am going to hold some of your suffering.
Yes.
And
yes.
to
yes.
have that balance. So right now, my dad died 4 months ago. So I'm fully grieving.
Yeah.
But I know you're holding some of that with me.
Yes.
And I know as a good friend, because we've grown, I'm not putting all that on you.
Right.
I could and burn you out. And then we'd be like, okay, we need a break, right? Because
Right.
that's normal friendship. That
Yes.
happens.
Yeah.
But luckily, I have some other friends that I can grieve with too that are
Right.
witnessing to my suffering. So
Yes.
I think too, knowing in that intentionality, don't burn your friends out.
Yeah.
Because you'll know when you're burning your friends out.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, like I remember when I lost my dad, because you lost your mom right before Lincoln was born.
Yeah.
I knew that you had grieved a parent. And so when I lost my dad, I knew that you were a safe space
Right.
and I could be seen and heard and not be spoken to in Christianese of like, well, God's got a better plan. Like,
He's up in heaven holding your
Yes,
baby.
yes.
This is what people always say to me. Oh, well, your parents are up in heaven just holding your babies. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I wish they were here holding my babies.
Right.
I love your sentiment. But,
Yes.
and I get it.
Yes.
I say blundering things to
I know.
people like that. But
yes.
for me, too, you haven't ever tried to, like, ease my pain. You've just tried to comfort it. In a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think easing it would rip me off.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like we need to suffer. We're humans. We need to
Right.
grow. We need to call out to the Lord. We need friendship. We need iron sharpens iron. All
Right.
those things, right? And to not have that,
Yeah.
oh, you miss out.
I know.
And I think why women miss out on that is one is bitterness. They're bitter because they've had friendships that haven't worked out. And
Yep.
hey, ladies or men listening, I have had plenty of friendships not work out.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is a hard thing. Like
Yeah.
to spend a few years, 5 years being intimate with a family or trying to engage, and then something happens and it blows up and the relationship ends, right?
Yep.
Because that's life too.
Yep.
And that's hard. And if you don't guard yourself against that bitterness, you can end up pretty lonely.
Yes. Yeah.
Just being willing to trust again and being willing to go with friends again. And, after there's been a breakup, I
Right.
guess you would say.
Yeah. Well, and a humility of like, what can I learn from that? And I think even with long lasting friendships, there's that continual like, oh, I wasn't the best of friends or, just coming with an open mind, open to growing. And yeah. But I do think the core of pursuing that connection is there's got to be courage.
Yep.
And there's got to be vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I know in multiple talks that we've done at, MOPS or various places of talking about, we're so over the fake, social media connections, which as you guys know, I love social media.
Yes.
And I love pursuing those connections, but it does not take the place of real every day.
Eye to eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know me,
Heart
my
to heart.
family, you know my situation, you
Yep.
know the ins and outs. You know me from a heavenly perspective.
Yep.
Like all of those things, it does not take the place of social media likes or comments or
Right.
a friend on Facebook.
Right.
So I think that's really important. And I know the world is aching, especially in this last season of
Yes.
quarantine and
There are
disconnect.
Yep. It's huge.
It is huge.
So I think I would just challenge everybody to pray and to see what friends that you could go to the next level with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I have some friends out there that are like, I don't know, I don't want to level things, but I could be more committed to and pray about it. But I hesitate to tell anyone to move forward without really trusting their
Trust.
really gut
Yep.
that's where you're supposed to go. Because I would hate, to lead anyone astray saying, just go try and be intentional with someone,
Yes.
It really has to be a prayer thought thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, email Kristen, talk to her about it, talk to other people about it. No, if you're sitting out there alone.
Yeah. And maybe it is starting on a social media platform. And then you meet up in real life. And
Yep.
I mean, God can work in so many different ways, but you're right. That prayer, I remember right when Joshua and I got married, we did the, we started dating and we took everybody else out from our life. It was just me and him.
Yeah.
And then right after we got married, we were like, oh, we need friends.
We need feedback.
And we need married
others.
friends. We need people that are in our situation in life.
Yeah.
And man, I've never had the Lord answer so clearly of friendships. I mean, he has blessed that prayer over and over.
Yeah, you have rad friends.
I do.
I
have
like
rad
all your
friends.
I love coming to like your things, and I'm like, yeah, cool. I wish I had all these friends. Just kidding, people. I do have a friend. I have Kristen. No, just kidding.
No,
I
she has lots of friends.
I do. But
it's just like different circles.
Different circles,
Yeah.
but there's different levels too. I mean,
Yes.
of friendship. Like, I was taught really early on that whole boundaries thing. Like, some people you invite to your mailbox, and then some people you invite to your front porch. And then there's some people you invite into your living room. And then there's some people you invite into your kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? And then the list just keeps going and going and going. And then there's people you've invited into your whole heart, into your whole house, even into your bedroom, which, you know, you have to be very careful on things you share there.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
To honor your husband and to honor yourself. And so it's like, I've decided to go all the way with you, right? And so that's what has made it so much more rich for me personally, because it's like, I'm vulnerable. Let's game on. You can go past my mailbox. It's okay, right?
Yes.
Like, even
I have lived in your house. I've worked in your house.
I've walked through it many times. So it's, I think too, it's just being willing to go for it.
Yeah.
Too, even if you've struggled at it, or, you know, and just go for it.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Any other advice on pursuing connection with friendships before we sign off here?
I just think that one thing is people tend to not reach out. And I'm not saying that you have to reach out, or that's going to be the silver bullet. I don't want anyone to think there's a silver bullet for intimacy and friendship. It's a long, laborious, years upon years, tears. I mean, how many times have I cried for you? You've cried for me. Tears. I mean, this is not made for wimps, a real friendship.
Right.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I would just say, just to continue, don't give up and keep going and be intentional. Make those texts. So what I've started doing, and I'm a horrible writer, but I started trying to do calligraphy. Right?
Oh, cool.
Like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
I can't do it. But I started writing letters. Did you get a letter from me?
I did. I was going to tell you.
I started
it totally
writing
made my day.
letters.
I literally opened it. I was like, oh, Laura, you know me so well.
Totally.
And it was all words of affirmation.
Yes.
And,
Well, because I don't know what else to write.
Yeah.
I'm my gift is exhortation, and I'm an evangelist. So all I know is to give words of encouragement, right? I'm like, I can't write anything else.
Yes.
But I've been writing people all across the U.S. because I know people are hurting and how neat it is to get a letter.
Yes.
Right? So selfishly, I'm practicing
That's
my
so
writing
awesome. Yes.
because I want my penmanship to be better. But on the flip side of it, I'm being intentional in writing to moms or to widows or to so I wrote a letter to every mom in my cul-de-sac.
That's so cool.
I know. And some of them I don't even know that well. I mean, I do know pretty well, but it was just something that just to be intentional again.
Right. And
so-
everybody loves to feel
Loved.
seen and loved.
And
Yes.
witness too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's so good. I
thank
like
you for
that little
being my
nugget.
friend.
Thanks for being my friend. Well, guys, thanks for listening today. I hope you're encouraged to pursue that connection. Maybe there's, ask God for that one person that you can just reach out to. Go for a walk. I know it's still a little bit of a COVID situation going on, but walks are great. Go to the park. I mean, man, when we were young, we would go to the park. Oh, man.
And the pools and the parks.
Yes.
And the pools and
Yes. It's almost pool season, but
thank goodness.
yeah, be brave. Do it. It's worth it.
Yes.
It's hard. It's glory. It's beauty
It is glory.
and messy. It's never going to be not messy.
Right.
You're two humans walking
Trying
through
to
life.
be friends.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks. And you guys go check out Rebel Parenting.
Oh, thanks for the plug.
Yes.
Rebel Parenting is back.
It's revamped and ready to roll. It's going to be so good. So, all right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Wholistic Hearts. As always, leave a review and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And if you'd like to find out more about my mom and all the things she is writing about, go to www.kristenfieldschadwick.com.